Good morning. I want to talk about a reality. Many of us face the moments in life when we stand alone, but I'm here to remind you that being alone doesn't mean being weak. It doesn't mean being defeated. In fact, some of the strongest, most transformative moments in life happen when we stand alone. Sometimes life takes us through seasons of solitude, pulling us away from the noise, the crowd, and the constant chatter that fills our days. At first, it can feel unsettling, even frightening. We may wonder why we've been set apart or why the companionship and support we once relied on seem distant. But here's the truth: solitude isn't a punishment. It's a place of profound strength and discovery. It's in those moments of quiet when the world seems to fade away that we are given the opportunity to see ourselves clearly and to tap into the depths of our inner power. When we're surrounded by people, it's easy to let their voices drown out our own. Their opinions, their needs, and their expectations can become so loud that we lose touch with what we truly want and who we truly are. But when we're alone, the noise subsides. The distractions fall away. It's just us and our thoughts, our dreams, and our faith. In that stillness, we start to reconnect with the essence of who we are. We begin to hear the whisper of our purpose more clearly. We realize that strength doesn't come from the crowd, it comes from within. Think about some of the most powerful forces in nature. A tree stands tall and unshakable not because of what's visible above ground, but because of the roots it grows in solitude deep beneath the surface. Those roots aren't formed in the chaos of the wind or the noise of the forest. They grow in silence and stillness and darkness. The same is true for us. Our most profound growth happens in the moments when no one is watching, when no one is cheering us on, when it's just us quietly pushing forward. But here's the challenge: solitude requires courage. It's not always comfortable to sit with yourself, to confront your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities. It's much easier to keep busy, to surround yourself with others, to avoid the silence. Yet the courage to embrace solitude is what separates those who live on the surface from those who truly thrive. In solitude, we build resilience. We learn to stand tall on our own 2 feet. We discover that we don't need constant validation from others to feel worthy. We are worthy simply because we exist. Solitude is where transformation begins. It's where we shed the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us and step into the person we're meant to be. It's not a place of weakness, it's a place of preparation. In solitude, we prepare for the challenges ahead, for the opportunities that are coming, and for the people we'll meet along the way who will recognize the strength we've cultivated. If you find yourself in a season of solitude, don't run from it, lean into it. Use it as a time to grow, to reflect, and to build, because when you emerge from that place, you won't just be stronger, you'll be unstoppable. It's a common misconception that our value is tied to the number of people we surround ourselves with. Society often glorifies popularity, large social circles, and constant connection, but the truth is, your worth has never depended on how many people are in your life. It's not about the crowd, it's about the core of who you are. Your value is intrinsic, unchanging, and immeasurable, regardless of whether you're in the spotlight or standing alone. Being alone can feel like a void at times, especially when we're used to the presence of others affirming us, but true validation doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. The danger of tying your worth to others is that people can be unpredictable. They can walk in and out of your life. Relationships shift, circumstances change. If your sense of self is tied to the approval or company of others, it becomes fragile, easily shaken by the winds of life. But when you anchor your worth in yourself and your unique talents, your values, and your potential, you become unshakable. There's an incredible freedom in recognizing that your value isn't measured by how many people choose to walk alongside you. It's liberating to realize you don't need a crowd to validate your existence. Think about some of the most remarkable figures in history or even in your own life. Were they always surrounded by applause? Likely not. Many of them had to walk alone for a time, believing in themselves when no one else could. Their belief wasn't rooted in external validation. It came from an inner knowing of their worth and purpose. When you're alone, you're given the chance to reflect on what truly matters to you. You can set aside the expectations of others and ask yourself, what do I value? What do I want to pursue? In those moments of solitude, clarity emerges. You discover that you are enough not because someone else says so, but because you are inherently valuable. Being alone allows you to set boundaries that honor your worth. It's easy to fall into the trap of surrounding yourself with people simply to avoid loneliness, but not all company is good company. Sometimes being with the wrong people can be lonelier than being by yourself. They may drain your energy, dampen your dreams, or fail to see the brilliance you bring to the table. Choosing to stand alone instead of settling for less is a powerful act of self-respect. It's a declaration that you'd rather walk your path in solitude than compromise your worth for companionship. Your value is not up for negotiation. It doesn't waver based on who stays or who leaves. It doesn't diminish when you're not in the spotlight. It simply is. So embrace the times when you find yourself alone and use them to reconnect with the truth of your worth. You are complete, whole, and worthy exactly as you are. Growth doesn't always happen in the bright, busy, bustling moments of life. It often takes root in the quiet, unseen places where the world isn't watching. The truth is, growth requires a kind of stillness that we rarely give ourselves permission to experience. In those moments of solitude when we feel disconnected or even isolated, something remarkable begins to unfold. It's here in these quiet spaces that we discover who we are and lay the foundation for who we are becoming. Consider the journey of a seed. When it's planted, it doesn't sprout immediately. It spends time buried in the darkness, beneath the surface, out of sight. There's no audience, no applause, no recognition. But within that hidden place, the seed is doing the critical work of taking root. It's preparing itself for the moment it will break through the soil and reach for the sunlight. Without that hidden season of preparation, the seed would never have the strength to grow into what it's destined to be. The same is true for us. When we find ourselves in moments of solitude, it's easy to mistake the stillness for stagnation. We might feel like nothing is happening, like we're stuck, like the world is moving forward without us. But beneath the surface, there's movement, there's transformation. These are the times when our character is being built, when our values are being tested, and when our resilience is being strengthened. These are the moments when we grow deep roots of self-awareness, purpose, and strength that will support us when life's storms come. It's important to recognize that growth isn't always visible. Sometimes the most profound changes happen quietly, without fanfare. We might not notice it at first, but every choice we make in solitude, every moment we spend reflecting, learning, and pushing forward contributes to the person we are becoming. When we embrace these moments, we give ourselves the opportunity to align with our purpose and prepare for the challenges and opportunities ahead. Growth also requires patience. It's natural to want results now, to want to see the fruits of our labor immediately, but true growth takes time. It's a process, not an event. And like the seed that remains hidden for a season, we must trust that the work we're doing in the quiet places is setting us up for something greater. The quiet places of life are not voids, they're the workshops of transformation. They're where we cultivate the habits, the mindset, and the strength we'll need for the next season of our journey. So the next time you find yourself in a period of stillness, don't resist it. Embrace it, use it, let it be a time of preparation and growth. It's in the quiet that we become who we are meant to be. And when the time is right, just like that seed breaking through the soil, you'll emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to flourish. Isolation is often misunderstood. It can feel like a void, a space of emptiness, or even a punishment. But in truth, isolation is not a sentence, it's a season. And like all seasons, it has its purpose. When we find ourselves set apart, it's not because we've been abandoned, it's because we're being prepared. Isolation is the fertile ground where transformation happens. It's where clarity is born, where strength is forged, and where purpose begins to crystallize. When you're isolated, you have the unique opportunity to turn inward and confront things that are often overlooked in the noise of everyday life. It's easy to distract ourselves when we're surrounded by people and constant activity. But in the stillness of isolation, there's no place to hide. You're faced with your thoughts, your fears, and your desires. While this can be uncomfortable, it's also incredibly powerful. It's in this space that we truly come to know ourselves, not who we are in the eyes of others, but who we are at our core. Isolation strips away the external influences that often shape our decisions and our identity. It allows us to take an honest look at our lives, our values, and our direction. What do we really want? What drives us? What are we holding on to that no longer serves us? These are the questions that arise in isolation, and they are questions worth answering, because it's only when we understand ourselves fully that we can step into our purpose with clarity and confidence. It's also in isolation that we find strength. When you stand alone, you discover that you're more capable than you realize. You learn to rely on yourself in ways you never thought possible. You tap into a reservoir of resilience that may have been hidden when you were leaning on others. This isn't about rejecting help or support. It's about recognizing that at your core, you have everything you need to move forward. Isolation also serves as a refining process. Think about how gold is purified, it's placed in the fire, melted down and stripped of impurities until it becomes something precious and valuable. Isolation is like that fire. It burns away the distractions, the doubts, and the unnecessary baggage, leaving behind a stronger, more focused version of yourself. It prepares you for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead, shaping you into the person you need to be to meet them. Isolation is temporary. It's a season, not a permanent state. It may feel endless while you're in it, but its purpose is to prepare you for what's coming next. When you emerge from this season, you'll find that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You'll be ready to step into the next chapter of your life with a newfound strength and a clear sense of purpose. So don't fear isolation. Embrace it. Trust that it's not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of something greater. It's natural to seek connection. We crave companionship, validation, and a sense of belonging. But the truth is, not all connections are created equal. The people we surround ourselves with have a profound influence on our thoughts, our choices, and our direction. It's not about how many voices are in your life, it's about the quality of those voices. The right voices can inspire and uplift you, but the wrong ones can sow doubt, limit your potential, and pull you off course. There's a common belief that being surrounded by people is always better than standing alone. But here's the reality: being in the company of the wrong people can feel lonelier than being by yourself. When you allow negative, critical, or unsupportive voices into your life, it's like carrying unnecessary weight on a journey. These voices can drown out your own inner wisdom and make you question the very path you're meant to walk. Choosing to be selective about who you let into your inner circle isn't selfish, it's wise. It's an act of self-respect and self-preservation. Your dreams, your goals, and your well-being are too important to be left vulnerable to people who don't truly see or value you. Surrounding yourself with the right voices doesn't mean you're looking for people who always agree with you or flatter you. It means finding people who genuinely want the best for you, who challenge you to grow, and who believe in your potential even when you doubt yourself. But here's the challenge: sometimes in the process of seeking those right voices, you may find yourself standing alone for a season. This can feel uncomfortable, but it's a necessary step in ensuring that the relationships you build moving forward align with your values and vision. Standing alone doesn't mean you're isolated forever. It means you're making room for the right people to enter your life at the right time. Think about the most meaningful relationships you've had. Chances are they weren't built out of convenience or proximity. They were built on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. These types of connections take time and intentionality. By choosing to stand alone rather than settle for voices that don't serve you, you're creating space for the kind of relationships that truly nourish your soul. It's also worth remembering that your own voice is one of the most important in your life. When you learn to trust and listen to yourself, you become less dependent on external validation. You don't need a crowd to tell you that you're on the right path. You know it because it feels right in your heart. If you find yourself alone, don't despair. Take that time to reflect, to grow, and to strengthen your connection with yourself. The right voices will come, and when they do, they'll add to your journey in ways that amplify your strength and purpose. Until then, trust that standing alone can be one of the most empowering choices you'll ever make. There's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely, though many people confuse the two. Loneliness is a feeling, an emotional response to the perception of disconnection. But being alone is simply a state of being. It's neither inherently negative nor positive. What matters is how we perceive and use that time by ourselves. Once we learn to embrace solitude, we realize it's not a void, but an opportunity to grow, to recharge, and to deepen our relationship with ourselves. In doing so, we come to understand that being alone doesn't mean we're lacking, it means we're complete. Loneliness often stems from the belief that we're not enough on our own, that we need others to validate our worth or give meaning to our lives. But the truth is, no one else can complete us or make us whole. That's a journey we take within ourselves. When you start to enjoy your own company, you'll discover that you're far from empty. You're full of potential, dreams, and capabilities waiting to be realized. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you begin to see everything that's already there.
Solitude offers a chance to reflect and reconnect with who you truly are. In a world that constantly demands our attention and pulls us in 1,000 directions, being alone is a rare gift. It allows us to silence the external noise and tune into our inner voice.
This is where clarity emerges, where we can evaluate our goals, reassess our values, and align ourselves with our purpose. It's in these moments of stillness that we find the strength to navigate life's challenges and the creativity to envision new possibilities. One of the most empowering realizations is that you don't need to fear being alone because you are your own best company. Think about the relationships you have with others, how much effort and care you put into them. Now imagine channeling that same energy into your relationship with yourself. Treat yourself with kindness, curiosity, and understanding. Spend time exploring your interests, developing your skills, and pursuing the things that make your heart come alive. When you do this, you'll find that solitude is not a limitation, but a canvas for self-discovery and fulfillment. It's also important to remember that being alone doesn't mean you're without connection. The relationships that truly matter, those built on love, trust, and mutual respect, don't disappear when you step into solitude. They remain like stars in the night sky, always there even when you can't see them. Solitude simply gives you the space to appreciate those connections without becoming dependent on them for your sense of self. Being alone is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a powerful space where you can recharge, rediscover your strength, and remind yourself that you are enough. When you embrace the gift of solitude, you'll realize that you are never truly alone because you've got yourself, and that's more than enough. Fear is a powerful force, often magnified in moments of solitude. When you're alone, it's easy for doubts to creep in, for insecurities to amplify, and for the weight of uncertainty to feel overwhelming. But solitude is not meant to be a place of fear. It's a space where courage is born. It's in these moments of quiet, when the distractions are stripped away, that you're invited to confront your fears and choose strength instead. Choosing strength over fear doesn't mean denying that fear exists. It's natural to feel afraid when you're stepping into the unknown or when the familiar safety net of others isn't there. Fear is a part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to define your response. Strength is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. It's looking at your fear and saying, I acknowledge you, but you don't control me. Solitude provides the perfect environment to cultivate this kind of strength. When you're alone, you don't have the immediate reassurance or validation of others to fall back on. This can feel unsettling at first, but it's also incredibly empowering. It's in these moments that you learn to rely on yourself, to trust your instincts, and to build the resilience needed to navigate life's challenges. You start to realize that the strength you seek isn't something external, it's something already within you, waiting to be tapped into. Fear often thrives on the unknown. It whispers, what if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if this is the wrong path? But when you're alone, you have the time and space to confront these questions head on. Instead of running from them, you can examine them with clarity and courage. Often you'll find that the fear isn't as insurmountable as it seemed. By facing it, you strip it of its power and gain confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Strength is also a choice to believe in yourself, to keep going when the path feels uncertain, and to trust that the challenges you face are shaping you for something greater. Each step you take in solitude, each decision you make without leaning on others, builds this strength. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, you'll look back and realize that what once felt impossible has become second nature. You also come to understand that strength isn't about never falling, it's about always getting back up. It's about perseverance, about continuing to move forward, even when the way isn't clear. And it's about knowing that fear is not a stop sign, but a signal that you're stepping into growth. When fear shows up in your solitude, let it be a reminder of the strength you're building. Choose to rise above it. Trust that you have everything you need within you to face whatever lies ahead. Solitude isn't a place of weakness, it's where true strength is forged. In solitude, we learn the invaluable lesson of self-reliance. The world often conditions us to seek external validation, approval, and recognition, but it's in being alone that we realize how much strength we actually possess within. When we are alone, we are forced to depend on ourselves not just for practical needs, but for emotional and mental support. We find the ability to reassure ourselves, to calm our own fears, and to motivate ourselves when no one else is around to do it for us. Being alone forces us to tap into our inner resources. When we are with others, we sometimes rely on their energy to keep us going, their confidence to bolster our own, and their presence to fill the empty spaces. But when we find ourselves alone, we come face to face with our own strengths and weaknesses. It's here in the quiet moments that we discover our ability to comfort ourselves, to rise up from challenges, and to keep moving forward even when the path ahead feels uncertain. We learn to trust ourselves more, and in turn, we become more resilient. Self-reliance and solitude doesn't mean that we never need others or that we have to go through life without support. It simply means that we learn to be our own best source of encouragement, our own internal cheerleader. We begin to recognize that while the presence of others is wonderful, our ultimate power doesn't lie in them, it lies within us. This realization is empowering because it means we are not at the mercy of anyone else's opinion or validation. We become confident in our own ability to navigate life's twists and turns, to make decisions with conviction, and to stay true to ourselves regardless of external pressure. In moments of solitude, we also discover our own capacity for growth and adaptation. We are often so focused on the expectations and opinions of others that we forget to listen to our own hearts. Being alone offers the rare opportunity to look inward and assess where we are, where we've been, and where we want to go. It's when we are alone that we can fully embrace the space to dream, to plan, and to align our actions with our true desires. The absence of distractions allows us to hear our own thoughts more clearly and take ownership of our future. Being self-reliant in solitude is a practice of patience and perseverance. It teaches us how to stand firm when things get tough. It's easy to give up or get discouraged when there are others around us to offer quick fixes or sympathy. But when we are alone, we face challenges head on and learn to keep going even when no one else is watching. It's this inner fortitude that builds our character and sets us on a path to true independence. Self-reliance and solitude isn't about isolating ourselves from the world. It's about learning to stand strong and firm even when the world feels distant. It's about recognizing that no matter what comes our way, we have the inner strength to rise above it, to rely on our own instincts, and to move forward with confidence. The more we practice this self-reliance, the more empowered we become, not just in solitude, but in every area of our lives. When we find ourselves alone, we often experience moments of reflection that reveal our true potential. Being alone gives us the unique opportunity to assess where we are in life, where we want to go, and who we really want to become. These quiet moments are not only a chance to recalibrate our goals, but also to reconnect with the deepest parts of ourselves, the parts that are often drowned out by the noise of daily life. In solitude, we are able to rediscover our passions, clarify our vision, and reignite the flame of possibility that might have dimmed over time. It's in these moments of solitude that we realize we have the power to shape our own future. Without the distraction of others' expectations or the pressure of societal norms, we can make decisions based on our true desires and values. We get to ask ourselves, what do I want? What excites me? What am I capable of? When we remove the external influences, we can clearly see what's truly important to us and begin to make plans to pursue those things with passion and purpose. When we are in the company of others, it's easy to get caught up in the flow of their opinions and ideas. We might make decisions based on their guidance or expectations, sometimes without realizing that we are compromising our own dreams. Being alone gives us the freedom to ask the hard questions without fear of judgment or influence. We are free to listen to our inner voice and follow our own instincts. This is the power of solitude. It allows us to tune into our authentic selves and take the next step with clarity and confidence. Being alone is a powerful reminder that we are capable of more than we think. It's in solitude that we tap into an inner strength that we might not have recognized before. We face challenges without the help of others, and through this process, we realize how much resilience we have. We learn that we don't need to rely on anyone else to define our worth or our potential. We are capable of taking on challenges, solving problems, and creating the life we want, even when we're walking alone. As we reflect on our journeys in solitude, we also recognize the growth we've experienced along the way. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of discomfort has shaped us into the person we are today. In these moments of quiet reflection, we can see how far we've come, what we've learned, and how much stronger we've become. The distance we've traveled becomes clearer when we pause and reflect on the journey rather than rushing to the next destination. It's in these moments of solitude that we truly appreciate the progress we've made and we find the motivation to keep moving forward. Solitude provides the opportunity to realign with who we are and who we are becoming. It offers us the space to let go of the past, shed old limiting beliefs, and embrace the future with an open heart. In these quiet moments, we realize that we are not defined by our past circumstances or by the expectations of others. We are defined by our ability to choose who we want to become and the courage to step into that future with strength, confidence, and authenticity. Being alone is not a sign of weakness. It is an opportunity to reclaim our power and create the life we truly desire. The journey of being alone but strong is not one of isolation or weakness, but a profound opportunity for growth, self-discovery, and empowerment. It is in our moments of solitude that we find the clarity to define our purpose, confront our fears, and build the strength that sustains us through life's challenges. Alone, we are not powerless. We are given the space to tap into our own resilience, creativity, and inner wisdom. While the world often pressures us to seek constant connection and external validation, true strength lies in knowing that we are enough on our own. It is in these quiet moments that we build the foundation for our future, strengthening our self-reliance, honing our self-awareness, and embracing our own potential. Being alone does not mean we are lacking, it means we are complete. It is in solitude that we find the power to transform, to rise above fear, and to take bold steps forward in our lives. So embrace the silence, trust the process, and know that even when you walk alone, you walk with strength, purpose, and the unshakable belief that you have everything within you to thrive.